Every morning, you grab your phone and lift it toward your face. The screen wakes up, it unlocks instantly, and your entire digital life opens up without you typing a single digit. It feels like magic. But here's the wild part. Most people have no idea what's happening in that split second. They assume the phone just recognizes vibes and good intentions. In reality, there's a tiny invisible light show happening on your face every time you unlock. So what is Face ID really, and how does it pull this off so fast? Quick promise before we dive in, if you like tech explained in plain English, the kind you can repeat to a friend later, subscribe to Tim Explains Tech. I make confusing features feel obvious without the jargon headache. Now let me clear up the biggest misconception right away. Your phone is not simply taking a normal photo of your face. If it worked like a selfie, anyone could unlock your phone with a printed picture or a photo from social media. That would be a security disaster. Face ID is doing something much more interesting than taking a picture. Think of Face ID like a tiny sculpture studio living inside the top of your phone. Every time you look at it, the studio doesn't paint a flat portrait. It rebuilds a three-dimensional shape of your face like a quick digital sculpture using light you can't see. And yes, the action happens up in that small black area at the top of the screen. Most people treat it like an annoying notch, but it's basically a little workshop packed with specialized tools. In simple terms, there are three key parts working together like a team. First is the dot projector. The moment you wake your phone, it sprays a grid of tiny infrared light dots across your face. You can't see them, you can't feel them. And they're designed to be safe. Imagine an invisible connect the dots pattern landing on your forehead, cheeks, nose, lips, chin, all at once. Second is the infrared camera. This is not your selfie camera. It's a camera built to see infrared light, the kind your eyes can't detect. It looks at your face and sees the dot pattern clearly, even though the dots are invisible to you. Now here's the clever part. The phone isn't just collecting a pretty pattern of dots. It's using that pattern to measure depth. A dot landing on the tip of your nose sits closer to the phone than a dot landing on your cheek. The system reads those tiny distance differences across thousands of points. That's how it builds a detailed 3D map of your face, like a topographic map that shows hills and valleys. It's learning the curve of your jaw, the shape around your eyes, the contour of your nose. Not because it's guessing, but because the dot pattern bends differently on a real face than it would on something flat. But what about darkness? What if you try to unlock your phone under a blanket at 3 in the morning or in a dark hallway? This is where the third tool shows up, the flood illuminator. Think of it as an invisible infrared flashlight. It lights up your face with infrared so the system can still read the dots and see your facial shape even when the room is basically pitch black. When you first set up Face ID, your phone asks you to slowly move your head around. That's not a random dance. The system is collecting your face geometry from multiple angles so it has a more complete model, not just one straight-on view. It's building a reference that works when you're slightly turned, slightly tilted, or holding the phone a little off-center like a normal human. Now, where does that face map go? This part surprises people. The face data does not get uploaded to some giant cloud folder labeled Everyone's Faces. Your Face ID information is stored on the device in a protected area tied to the phone's hardware security. In Apple's design, it's kept in a secure, isolated place so normal apps can't read it. The system stores a mathematical representation of your face, not a regular photo you could scroll through like an album. So every time you unlock, the whole process repeats in a flash. Dots project. Infrared light helps. The camera reads the pattern, the phone builds a fresh 3D map in that moment. Then it compares that new map to the saved reference. It's basically asking, do these shapes match closely enough to be the same person right now? The comparison is fast, but it's not lazy. It checks a huge number of features at once. Do the contours line up? Are the distances consistent? Does the depth profile make sense? If the match is strong enough, the phone unlocks. If it's not, you get denied, and it asks for a passcode instead. Now you might be thinking, okay, but people change. What if you grow a beard, shave it off, put on makeup, wear glasses, or change your hair? Does Face ID freak out? This is where it gets smarter than people assume. Face ID is mostly anchored on the underlying structure of your face, especially around key regions like the eyes and the overall geometry. Glasses and facial hair can change what you look like, but your basic 3D structure is still you. And over time, the system can adapt within limits. When you successfully unlock, it can learn small changes so it keeps recognizing you as you evolve. In practice, if something changes a lot, you may need your passcode a couple times and then it catches up. This is also why photos usually don't work. A photo is flat. When the dot pattern hits a flat image, the depth information is wrong. The system is looking for a living 3D surface with real contours, not a printed rectangle. That's the whole point of using depth mapping instead of a normal picture. There is one well-known edge case, identical twins. Twins can share extremely similar facial geometry, especially if they're very close in age and appearance. In some situations, Face ID may struggle more with that than with two unrelated people. It's not a guaranteed bypass, but it's a real limitation of any system that relies heavily on facial structure. For most people, though, Face ID is a strong balance of convenience and security. It's fast because the hardware is purpose-built for this one job. It's secure because it's not relying on a simple image. And it's designed so your face data stays on the device rather than being shared around the internet. So what does this mean for you in real life? If you want quick access without constantly typing a code, Face ID is one of the smoothest ways to do it. If you care about privacy, it helps to know the system is built around an on-device face model, not a cloud-based face database. If you're unlocking in weird lighting, the infrared tools are exactly why it still works. And if you change your appearance, you usually won't get locked out just for trying a new look. Here's my simple decision framework. Turn on Face ID if you want speed and convenience without giving up strong security. Consider using only a passcode if you're in a rare situation where face authentication isn't appropriate for your job, or if you share your life with an identical twin who loves practical jokes a little too much. Face ID is a perfect example of great design, complicated engineering that feels effortless. Thousands of invisible dots, infrared cameras, secure hardware storage, and smart matching algorithms all happen in the background, so you experience it as a simple glance. Next time your phone unlocks instantly, you'll know what actually happened. Your phone didn't sense your aura. It projected invisible light, captured a depth pattern, rebuilt a 3D map of your face, and matched it against a protected reference in a fraction of a second. That's not magic. That's really good engineering pretending to be magic. If you want more everyday tech explained without the confusing buzzwords, subscribe to Tim Explains Tech. And if there's a feature on your phone that still feels like wizardry, tell me what it is, and I'll decode it next.